our system.
Well, we're moving on to another guest joining us on the line, someone we see around the rinks plenty of times, whether it's during the regular season, playoffs, or at the Memorial Cup. There he is, Craig Button from TSN, joining us here. And Craig, good to see you. And you obviously putting your scouting hat on and then seeing these players chosen, whether it's the OHL, whether it's the NHL. I'm sure it's always fun to see these fresh faces, and what NHL or OHL teams have names beside them.
And I think it's exciting for the young players and their families. I mean, one of the things that I admire so much about the young players is the focus, the dedication they have in trying to be the best players possible. And there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into that. And when you want to pursue something that's lofty, there's going to be sacrifice. And so this is the first step. For steps along the path to what their ultimate goals are. And their ultimate goals are to play in the NHL and certainly to be recognized in a top league that produces and has produced NHL players and superstars in the hundreds. It's a really nice step. The other thing that I would say, though, is that for me, I'm looking at the names and I'm looking at Brock Chitteroni, and I'm looking at Alex Kulemin, and I'm looking at Sam Roberts, and I'm going, wait a second here, wait. I watched all their fathers play. I was not watching the kids. I don't know if I'm going to be on when the grandkids are playing, but I think that's where it's headed. But it's kind of neat to see those names, and I know there's other names as well. Those were just three of the players that were drafted in the first round, and it's fun. It's an exciting time for the kids. No matter where you're drafted, a team now has put some faith into you and said, hey, you can be part. You're just talking about Windsor. Windsor had the first overall pick last year. They're not only good now, they're going to be good in the years to come. And, real credit to Bill Bowler and his staff. And certainly you get a chance to go play for a top-notch organization in Windsor and wherever you are in the OHL, it's special for the young kids and for their families.
Craig, well, you mentioned about the families. The bloodline's there. You know the fathers. You know what they were as hockey players. You know what they are as people. But for some of those other players, when you put yourself in that scouting role, you're watching them on the ice. But how important it is as well to get to know the families and to get to know the type of person they are away from the rink?
Well, I mean, you have to know what type of person you're getting and, what their dedication is. And I just talked about, how important it is for these young players to see some tangible rewards for their efforts and for their sacrifices. And certainly, I can tell you this, over the course of many, many years, and you'll tell me the same thing, you don't come across bad people. There's a story here or a story there, but for the most part, the kids and their families are good. You're trying to understand, what are we getting? What kind of support can we expect with respect from the family? And because you are evaluating the players, you just want to know that you're getting a player with respect to do the parents understand what the process is? I'll give you a perfect example that I think is really important. Nobody's going to tell me that Owen Griffin isn't a great kid. Now, he was a high pick by the Oshawa Generals in his first year. He really struggled to be able to be a productive player in the OHL as a 16-year-old. Really struggled. And so what you want to know as an organization, okay, how's he going to handle those struggles? What do we have to do? A kid that's been so good. These are all good players. They've all been good players at the levels below the OHL. Now they're struggling to find their way. They're trying to find their way, and they're going, you doubt yourself. So you want to make sure that you're working with the player, that the player is trying to continue to develop his skills. And now what do you get? At 17 years of age, you got Owen Griffin, who's a really important part of the Oshawa Generals. I would tell every single kid and every single parent, it's not a straight upward trajectory in terms of how you're going to progress. And be patient with yourself. And so when you ask about knowing the kids and knowing the parents, it's about making sure that you're giving them the support. Because these 6-year-old kids haven't tasted failure. They haven't tasted setbacks. And when you understand that, there's going to be a process and there's going to be some challenges for the young kids, and you now have everybody working together to support that, now you can work through the disappointment that a young player have and keep them on track. And that's why I bring up Owen Griffin. I mean, Owen Griffin is a really good player. And he'll tell you, he'll be the first one to tell you that last year it was a real struggle for him to be able to find any type of productivity in the OHL. Doesn't mean because you don't find it at 16, you're not going to find it at 17 or 18 and 19. And that's the progression you got to keep in mind with the players from an organizational point, and the parents have to understand that as well.
Craig, we appreciate your time this morning. We know we've only got a couple minutes left with us here, and let's talk about the 2025 NHL draft and the crop of OHL players. We're certainly been very excited to watch through their progression in the OHL. Now the NHL scouts watching them very closely. You've been watching them very closely, whether it's a Misa, a Martone, you name it. I'm sure you've had fun watching this group of OHL players getting set for the National Hockey League entry draft.
I have, and again, like I think about Michael Misa, who he's going to play for Canada at the U18 tournament in Dallas, Texas, which is really important. He wasn't able to play last year because he was helping Saginaw win the Memorial Cup. I watched Michael first play in the OHL Cup. Well, I watched him play before that, with the Mississauga Senators, and now here it is. It's 4 years later, and I kind of go, 4 years have passed. 4 years have passed with Michael Misa. Porter Martone the same way. I mean, I honestly, I love watching the young players play. Like it keeps you young. It keeps you. There's so much excitement and enthusiasm, and they want to go out every single shift and be at their very best. And I think one of the things I always try to remind other scouts and parents, and listen, they all want to be good every single shift. They're not going to be good every single shift, but just keep playing and keep doing what you show. And I mean, we're talking about Misa, you're talking about Martone, you're talking about Aitchison, you're talking about Jake O'Brien, you're talking about Cameron Reid. I'm just naming a handful of players, and I know there's more that are so good, and they're going to be in the NHL, some of them sooner than others, but it really is a testament. Again, back to what I said, the path is different, like for different players, and that path sometimes has some twists and turns in it. But these are good players. You're going to hear their names really early in the NHL draft. And, I'd be remiss not to mention Matthew Schaefer, who's been out because of his injury. We're talking about, there's an elite group of OHL players that are going to go probably in the first 10 picks that I just named here in the NHL draft coming up in June.
Well, big year coming up for the Ontario Hockey League at the NHL draft. The OHL draft rolls on this weekend. Craig, we appreciate you taking some time to join us.
It's always my pleasure. I mean, always wishing the best of luck and the best of times as the young players forge new paths with new organizations. So it'll be a lot of fun to continue to watch them.
Thanks so much, Craig. We'll be talking soon.
It's Craig Button from TSN joining us here, the Director of Scouting, and certainly a guy who has seen a lot of hockey over the years, worked for the Minnesota North Stars, the Dallas Stars, the Calgary Flames, the Leafs. He's certainly seen a lot of hockey over his career, and now getting a chance to work with the TSN broadcast through the finals and the Memorial Cup as well. We are into, we're into round 8.